In Ezekiel chapter 28 and in Isaiah chapter 14, you see, especially in Ezekiel, you see the origin of where this person of Satan came from. That he was an angel. Now, specifically, Ezekiel 28 is talking about the king of Tyre, this beautiful individual. And yet the language, as you start talking about him, is unequivocally somebody that is far greater and that is behind him. Now, you read in verse 12 and following, and we'll look at Lucifer, the bright shining one's origin, as to who he was. Son of man, take up a lamentation over the king of Tyre, and say to him, Thus says the Lord God, You had the seal of perfection, full of wisdom and perfect in beauty. You were in Eden, the garden of God, speaking here figuratively of God's presence. Every precious stone was your covering, the ruby, topaz, diamond, beryl, onyx, jasper, lapis lazuli, turquoise, and emerald, gold. The workmanship of your settings and sockets was in you. On the day you were created, they were prepared. Meaning that from his very origin, this being was of resplendent beauty and great wisdom. And the reason was because he had access to the presence of God. In verse 14, you were the anointed cherub who covers, and I placed you there. Meaning that he was like an honor guard. He was the one that stood next to the very realized presence, purity, and holiness of the triune God. And his position was somewhat of it's simply called a covering cherub. You were on the holy mountain of God, and you walked in the midst of the stones of fire, meaning that he was in the presence. You were blameless in your ways from the day you were created until unrighteousness was found in you. How does an otherwise perfect being sin? Well, Paul simply called it, he said, you're not to put a young convert in the position of elder lest he fall into pride and the condemnation of the devil. Paul identified it as pride. Apparently there is a fixation on the angelic realm that none else can fall. How did it occur? The Bible simply doesn't tell us. But this individual's heart was lifted up. But that is his creation. God didn't create evil in that sense. He created a glorious creation, the angelic realm, that had the hypothetical possibility of evil. And through Lucifer, it became a reality in time and space. The idea of rebellion against the character of God. Verse 16, by the abundance of your trade, meaning its glory and its power, its wealth and splendidness, you were internally filled with violence, and you sinned. Therefore I have cast you as profane from the mountain of God, and I have destroyed you, O covering cherub, from the midst of the stones of fire. That is his creation. His sin, you see there, it was unrighteousness was found in him. In Isaiah 14:12 through 14, it says of the king of Babylon, and the personification of the devil, it says that Satan said in that day, I will raise my throne above the stars of God, meaning the angelic realm. I will take my seat in the recesses of the north, meaning the place of power. And then it states, I will be like the Most High. And that was his sin. To be like God, it was the temptation to Adam and Eve in the garden. Ye shall be as gods. Just the basic sin that goes with you and I, that we were delivered from, that I will not submit to the authority and the glorification of my Creator. I will be independent. I will be my own wisdom, and I will bring all honor and all glory to me. That was the initial sin of Satan. And I think that's why in those that fell under his power, that with men and women, you simply cannot give them too much wisdom, too much power, too much wealth, and too much beauty. We just can't handle it. And he didn't either.